Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of y'all and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, man, from what I've been seeing on the ground since I've landed, it's a bit disappointing. Looks to me like y'all are in trouble. You're not quite getting the message out, I don't think. And I don't know if it's because a lot of black men are just not receptive, or if you're not getting the message out because brothers don't understand, though they're receptive. What I do understand is that some friends of mine know about the Dominican Republic as a place to go and just buy a house for relatively less than what you would have to spend in the States. And they could, work in the States part of the year, go spend the other part of the year in the DR, and maybe just swap out loose women. The issue I have with that is that that's still whoremongering. Now, I'm SYSBM. I admit I'm not Passport Bros, but I know Passport Bros didn't start off as just whoremongering. And it wasn't even just about the women. The women are an important part of life because we're important to them as well. But you got to keep in mind, too, that you're going to certain areas because of the say-so that you have. And with the say-so, you're still trying to start off by making up for lost time and lost experiences, because westernesha was able to wow the uck out in her 20s, but you couldn't. And she was able to go through body counts, but you couldn't. And so now you're trying to catch up with westernesha, but you're trying to catch up with westernesha in a traditional environment. And what happens is that you then wind up supporting debauchery. So women who otherwise would not have gone that route now go that route. This is not what the hell we doing. This is not what it's about for us. I think that we're going to need to start looking at different places to which we would go and to where it's good for us to go. I don't think that really the DR is a place to go if they're getting BBLs, getting bubble butts, buying them and selling. I don't think it's okay to go to any country where they use a bought bubble butt in order to advertise other services. I mean, I can tell you now, if women were dressing scantily or showing their butts, even with dresses on, in Saudi to sell haircuts, for one, men and women don't handle each other's hair like that. But if some of them did that, it would create a scandal. Men wouldn't say, well, she's ugly, she's fat, she's out of shape. Men would say, this is wrong for them to do to advertise this business. That's what the problem is. That's where the issue comes in. If you try to use them drawers to sell cars over here, people would boycott the cars. They would say, ain't no way that woman comes with that car. You're not selling women. So since you have to use them to sell the cars, your car must not be about much. Even single guys with no experience, ain't never been married, and would like to be, would still look and say, if you're using our sisters to sell cars, that means you don't really have cars to sell, or they're low quality. This is what we have to start paying attention to. Think about this. You were not supposed to be going into the DR just to whoremonger. Because what does that do? That encourages women who are not whores to become whores. That's what you're looking for? Because understand that one of the reasons why it is, there's pressure from women on women. And one of the reasons why it is that you deal with women that are so bad in the States is because they're under pressure to be bad. And you got to stop that mess. You got to cut that shit out. You got to stop whoremongering. And you have to, because what happens is that the ones who are whores are going to be the ones that got the money. And what are they going to say to the women that are going the honest route and don't make as much money? I got this much money. I got that. I can buy this right now. Can you do that, or do you have to go ask your husband? You have that kind of money in your pocket right now, right here? No, don't talk about how many more days you need to work to get it. Do you have it now? And what winds up happening is that women start to be born into an environment in which there never was a reason to be other than a whore. We are not here to contribute or to financially reward the same behaviors we don't want in the women we left behind. That is not why we're here in the States, and that's not why we go anywhere else. We might need to start looking at other places. The DR is where you go to save money. If you were looking for a legacy, go to traditional areas, and I don't mean Thailand, because y'all gonna go to Pattaya and Bangkok and Phuket, and y'all gonna manga. You are not going to be able to go abroad with this notion of this mindset that you have to do some catching up because Boom Shika, Bonquisha, Sophista Ratchet, Sapphire, Karen, Becky, Amber, and Amy were able to rack up these high body counts, but you weren't. You're not going to go and get even with them at the expense of traditional women or non-Western women and then catch up. That's not the way this works. You're going to get even with them when you leave them. Do you not see what they're going through right now? I see it now. I'm here. Go to the Walmart, pick up some things. Got a lot of ladies working there. They wish they didn't have to. Got a lot of old ladies working there. They wish they didn't have to. They wish they could sit at home, but they couldn't stand a man that could have given them that lifestyle. So they left. You see where this is going? You leave them behind. They got to work until the day they drop. Many of us will have to do that too, but we might be able to work ourselves in a better job so we don't mind dropping dead in. At least they won't. At least we don't have to be dropping dead on the showroom floor trying to sell furniture by the time we that old. You see where this is going. Do you understand this now? That's how you get even with them. They get them high body counts. Okay, they got them. They can get them. If we don't like that fact, then we got to be the type that would say no so they can't get these high body counts. But since women can always get higher body counts than men can get, even though it's not right, then what does that leave for us? Well, they can get them. So now here's what you have to do then. You must leave them because we can get more money than they can. And so we just have to leave. But you also got to pick carefully where you go because when you do go, if your body count is 2 or 3, you can still find someone whose body count is 1 or 0. You understand? If you go to the right places. That's where the difference comes in, and y'all ain't capitalizing on that. Some brothers over here, I've heard some sit up here talking about, man, I'm just going to go down to the DR, get a nice house, swap out, flying some women from Colombia, let them stay there for about 3 months, and then swap them out. Dummy, you gonna swap them out? Then what? Okay, now you swap them out. Now you gotta pay for the plane ticket. But if you don't pay for the plane ticket, then you gotta bring in locals that are going. But then if you bring in the locals, they could help you save money while they with you. But when they 3 months is up and you done with them, not they done with you, but you done with them, then what happens? Then what? They decide they don't like having to go back to whatever life they had before, where they were living. They just decide they're going to break into your place. That's what they decide to do. I mean, it's already going on. If they can rob you in the DR, they'll do it. We know about Colombia, but that's not the only place. And they can rob you anywhere, they'll rob you. It's not just because of your nationality. They did it to a Chilean man too. They don't care. They're going to rob who they can rob. But they're going to do that where they have an incentive to do that. Another thing, too, is I don't want you being Western Union poppies all the time. Someone say, well, we're not the only ones. I know that, but that's a middle school excuse. I don't care what Zaddy does. Matter of fact, I don't want Zaddy to make decisions that are as smart as yours anymore. I want you to be the one that makes the smart decisions. You, bruh, you the one I want to see make the smart decisions and come out ahead and come out on top for a change. And it's not too late. But you can't make passport bros into this thing where it don't let it deteriorate or degenerate even by mistake into this thing where you just going whoremonger. That's not what we about. Don't you think you're too good to just be a bunch of whoremongers? I'm all for you marrying 2, 3, and 4. Marrying them, I'm all for that. I'm all for you bumping uglies with 2, 3, and 4 of them. I'm not telling you to be monogynous unless that's what's most easy for you to afford, or that's what's best for your kids, or the only way you know how to be fair. Other than I'm not telling you to be monogynous, but I'm telling you that whoremongering is a different thing altogether. Look, we already know it don't pay off for them women in the long run, but it ain't gonna pay off for you either, man. I'm all for bringing back double standards, but not the ones that are gonna harm you. And I see that a lot of American guys that have heard about Passport Bros have not actually looked into it, which is one of the problems with black men and women alike in this country. We don't look into stuff and research and try to find out what it really is, what it's not. Assume that you have misconceptions about something when you only have a surface level, shallow knowledge of it. Assume you got misconceptions and try to find out what they're on, what they're not. A lot of you sit up and think that I'm going to sell out to the Arabs because I told you Islam is the solution. That means you got misconceptions about Islam. I try to correct them. I set up and recorded one thing on my Buy Me a Coffee. I said, hey, look, one thing that was free for everybody. Ye are not gods. That's the name of it. Y'all didn't listen to that. 14 people listened. Nobody else listened to that, even though I put the link up in a community tab on YouTube. You're not gods. You are human. You will make errors. That's not wrong, but don't call yourselves gods. A god with a doctor's appointment, a god with some Kleenex, a god with a toothbrush and toothpaste and floss and some mouthwash, a god with toilet paper. That don't make no mother cuss word sense. A god with prophylactics and contraceptives. Doesn't make sense, does not compute. I said this to y'all. 14 people. Watch that. I got more than 300 times that large of an audience, but 14 listened to that because everybody else wants to walk around thinking that they gods, but they don't even want to look into what something actually is and what it's not. I'm going to say this because much as I love black men and want to shout out black men, I got to tell the truth if my love is genuine and sincere. If you will not learn, read, and research, then you deserve what's coming next. If you will shun chastity, you will deserve the fruits of inchastity because these sisters ain't getting away with it. And you ain't going to either if you decide to go down that same road. And you might even have to pay more simply because you had to work more to be as unchaste. For you to be as unchaste as a woman can possibly be, it's going to take more work from you. So you're going to work harder to do the same thing and to get as far down as they go? No, man. You're going to pay twice the price for that. Some of y'all need to learn what SYSBM is because some of you ain't really passport bros. You're more like SYSBM. Some of you are IBM or and not all of us are going to be able to leave. I get that. But if you were going to leave, I told you need to know where to go. You need to look at different places. It is okay to take years to get the research done to find out about different nations. It is okay while you're getting your paper up and your free time, you looking up these different nations. That is fine. That is okay. I've been telling you that. But you don't seem to believe it. I tried to told you, but you ain't won't heard me. I'm telling you, gentlemen, you think you're just going to go to the DR. You think you're just going to go only to Columbia. Man, look, these places that most of us are thinking about going already got one problem. And that problem is that you have a lot of them are either major distribution centers of drugs, origin centers of drugs, or transit points for drugs. A lot of them are that. Now, we're not going there for these reasons, and I know that. Most customs officers probably know that. But what I still want you to understand is that you don't want to be associated with this thing even geographically and coincidentally only. Don't limit yourself in terms of where you're willing to go. Don't do that. Old and authentic passport bros would tell you that. SYSBM would tell you that. Now I'm telling a lot of you novices that want to be passport bros and may really be trying to. That's also something you don't do. You could go through Thailand to find another place that might work better for you. And understand this too. I'm okay with us being in large numbers somewhere, but do realize that once we reach 14% of a population, historically speaking, that's when people's attitudes towards us change. It happened in the certain parts of the U.S. It happened in Scandinavia. It can happen in certain parts of other places. Now, maybe in Thailand, they need more than 14% black people to start thinking there's something wrong with black folk. Maybe the threshold is higher, but do understand that. You got to be able to go to a place in which you can make an impression that's going to be a positive impression for the next bruh coming. And when you do that, that gives you the right to screen who the next bruh is that you're going to help make a transition over there. But thinking you just going to get you a little job fixing air conditioners in the summer in North America, and in the winter you just migrate down to the DR and you just going to run through a bunch of loose women and you ain't going to make a bad impression on people is a fallacy. That's a fantasy. You are going to do that. And when you start to get robbed, people ain't going to feel fuck. They're going to say, you messing with them loose women, you supposed to get robbed. In word, that's what's up. That's how that's going to work. I hope that what I said is a benefit. Thanks for listening. As always, Black Heart, Black Mind, Black God, Assalamu Alaikum. Black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it. Black patriarchy till extinction of Judgment Day. Thank you for flying with us again on Jet Black Airways, where Jet Black's always a verb. Keep jetting black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender, justice, forever.